Can we start the meeting? I think.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, thank you everybody for joining for this yet another interesting session on practice development organized by Ophthall. This time we would like to have some interesting workshops. What we thought was every month let's have some 2 to 3 workshops which would kind of discuss some interesting topics, not the routine, but maybe something really interesting and applicable to our day-to-day practice. And other side, I also thought let me introduce our fraternity to thinkers like Mr. Dharmendra Satapathy sir, who have a totally different view of thinking on the day-to-day aspects of practice and also the overall way how the practice is done in ophthalmology and how it can be taken to the next level. And most important part of that is skill to scale, because as doctors basically we are focused on our skills. So basically as per Robert Kiyosaki, either we are an employee or a self-employed person. So a self-employed person is for working every day on his skills. So you have to see deliver the service directly to the patient. So basically you have to either consult or do the procedures or do the diagnostics. It is based on the delivery of your skill, your income, your success, your everything depends. But on the other hand, businesses work on the principle of scalability. And how do you kind of become invisible and then scale the practice so that even without you being physically present, it can create a kind of a scale to the business, or you create that processes and systems and that brand equity, which will make people trust your organization, and then they come to you, your organization. But even if you are not present there, but still the same level of trust is understood by the people, and you have other multiple other people who can deliver that quality. I think today's discussion we would talk about how do you convert yourself from skill based to scale based, or how do we convert ourselves from a profession of depending on our day-to-day skills to scaling up. I hope I got the concept right, or Mr. Satapathy sir will also kind of explain in the next 1 to 2 hours. We will
Sir,
have.
you are recording this, no?
Yes, yes, we are recording. We are recording it. Sir. We are recording it. We will also post it on our YouTube channel also. So I would just give a small introduction and set the context to the meeting, and then Mr. Satapathy sir will also join together, and maybe we will discuss on a few concepts together. I would give the perspective from the doctor side, and Dharmendra sir will give the perspective from the side of a financial person or a business management side. So basically, I think and welcome all of you to also join in the discussion. We don't want you to be just a silent participant. Let us think this as a kind of our own meeting. So let's imagine that we are all meeting together in a small restaurant and sitting across the table and having this discussion. Let us not think that this is like a lecture series, or let it be more interactive, more friendly, and so that way I think the knowledge which we gain will also be more. So nature has.
The recording button hasn't been pressed. Has it been pressed?
Hari sir, are you recording this meeting?
Sir, it's recording, cloud recording.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, it's getting recorded. So let's when you see these giant sequoia trees, these large trees or these large mountains, they were all not built in a single day. These have taken millions of years to kind of come to this big shape and big sizes. There is an interesting concept in business called the concept of quiet compounding. So the mountain doesn't become a mountain on one day. So it has taken so many years to become this mountain, or even the sequoia tree suddenly doesn't grow so large in a single day. So the nature follows the principle called the quiet compounding principle, where the day-to-day progress happens, and then you create these giant trees or these mountains. So basically, I think even the mankind has evolved over the years, and it has compounded, and then we have reached this stage where we have attained this level of perfection and knowledge and everything. So it has taken so many millions of years for us also to reach this stage. So nature is not in a hurry, but everything is accomplished. This was a quote by the famous Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu. So basically, it's called quiet compounding. So I think even in a medical practice, there is no need to be in a hurry, or even in life, or even in our financial planning. I think by being hurry, we cannot accomplish anything, but we have to follow this principle of quiet compounding. But quiet compounding doesn't happen if we are not improvising little by little every day. They call it as sometimes in principle that if you in business, that if you become 1% better every day, so by the end of say 90 days or 100 days, you are doubling your capability. So the quiet compounding will happen, but quiet compounding to happen, we have to kind of keep improvising every day. So by being a self-employed person or just a skill-based person, we can improve our skills. I'm sure most of us are improving our skills by attending conferences and other things, but are we also compounding our practice? Are we also like improving the practice to reach the size of a giant sequoia tree or a mountain? So most of these organizations, even let's say the largest of the largest healthcare organizations, also have followed this quiet compounding principle. They are not built in a single day, but they followed that improvement principle, every day improving. And like as Charlie Munger used to say, you don't have to do anything very great, but at least every day you go to work, feel happy about what you're doing, and then if you are becoming a little better than yesterday, or if you are getting a little better than when you got up in the morning and before you sleep in the night, have you learned something new? So, and then you continue repeating it for 60, 70 years. I think that is what Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett have done. So they say we have not done anything too great, but they have become better and better. So I think medical practice also needs to follow this principle of quiet compounding. So, and then that will kind of lead you into the success footpath, success stage. And I'm sure Mr. Dharmendra sir also, when he is going to talk, he'll talk more about how do we improve. And even I think attending this lecture today or attending this webinar today is going to make us a little bit better, give us a little bit improved thought process. And I'm sure that will help us in the growth stage also. So medical practice also follows this principle of quiet compounding, provided we apply the concept of skill to scale. So I think that is what is the idea of this session today. Let me talk a few myths. I think most of the doctors still we are under the having a lot of myths in our minds, that even now there has been a lot of discussion. Sometimes when we talk about money or making money as a doctor, sometimes people say, oh, medical is a noble profession and we are not supposed to earn money or talk about money. But medical practice, as you know, is seen by everybody else as a business. Even the patient today is become a consumer. I don't think we should call the patient as a patient anymore. The patient is called as a healthcare consumer, and we are a healthcare organization. Like any business, healthcare is also a business, but a business with compassion and nobility. So basically, let's say when we see a patient dying, we are not going to see whether he has money. Any doctor would try to help revive that person who is sick and who is going to die. But on the other hand, it's not a sin to talk about money, or it's not a sin to make money. I think we should get this point very clear. And because money is needed for survival, and doctors also have to make money. Medicine also has to be looked at as a profession where you apply the concepts of business, you apply the concepts of finance. So I don't think we should be still talking that it is a sin to make money as a doctor. Every profession is there to make money. I'm sure medicine is also there to make money, but you should also not forget the point of compassion. But every business has a compassion angle also to it. Let's say somebody runs a restaurant, so he should also have an amount of compassion. So it is not that maybe somebody who's not having money to eat, maybe even a restaurant owner will give some food free for people who are struggling. So every profession has a nature of compassion also with it, and medicine is also no exemption. But it doesn't mean that medicine has to be only a charity-based profession, or it's a sin to talk about money. I think that is the first myth we have to take away. The second myth we always have as doctor is that I should be the smartest person in the room. I should be the most respected person. I'm sure in our organization, definitely a doctor should be the most respected. But a doctor, the problem of a doctor is he doesn't want to have another doctor who is smarter with him, or a partner with him, or have him in the organization. So basically, let's say if you take Apollo Hospital, Dr. Pratap Reddy is not the smartest of the doctors in Apollo Hospital, but he has been the smartest guy to get all those doctors into a common platform and make all of them work together. So we should also in our organization do away with this myth that I should be the smartest person in the room. I should be making all the decisions. I know everything. I think if you try to be the smartest person in the room, I think the concept from skill to scale will never work. See, Wipro's Asim Premji, he created a Wipro because though he started his life as a person running sunflower oil mills. His family business was running into oil mills. But how could Asim Premji create a software company? How could Asim Premji create that electrical company? I think all these things are possible because he was able to employ those smart people with him. So he was able to get the smart people work for him. So as a doctor also, I think this myth that I should be the smartest person, nobody, I am the smartest in the organization. No, everybody else is dumb and nobody knows anything other than me. I think the concept that should be taken away. How many of us are willing to employ younger doctors who are employ or associate with younger doctors who can do better surgeries than us and who can get better patient compliance or better patient quality treatment than us? I think many of the times as a doctor, we are always having this threat or fear that, oh, if another doctor gets a name, then it's a problem for me. So I think we should go take, if you are really somebody who wants to move from skill to scale, I think you should move away from being the smartest person and start associating with the more smarter people. It's not only other doctors. You can even, let's say if Mr. Dharmendra sir has more knowledge in finance, I'm sure it is better to associate with him or get him on how to see that what are all the ideas from him which I can take to improve my practice. So I think it is not only another doctor, but we can even employ things from other industries which can help us improve our practice. So, start moving away from this concept and then start associating with more and more people who are also having a different mindset, who are smarter than us. Start engaging with those people. I think that is the second myth which we have to overcome. And the third myth is basically we always feel as a doctor, marketing is a sin. So a doctor should not market, a doctor should not. I think we are definitely bound by the rule of medical ethics, the code of the National Medical Association and everything. But still, these days things are changing. So we have to also be present online. We also have to start marketing. Otherwise, we need to create our own personal brand and have everything. Otherwise, if we are invisible that way, it is not going to work. So if you are really thinking of skilling to scaling, I think you also have to overcome the myth that marketing is a sin, and marketing within ethical limits is mandatory these days. It's not a sin anymore. And the other most important myth we have is that every other doctor is a competitor, every other colleague is a competitor. I think we should definitely move away from this thought process also, because there is a concept called why do you always want to compete? Why not collaborate? If we really want to move away from skilling to scaling. If you want to scale up, I think it is important to think, get away or overcome this myth that thought that every other colleague is a competitor, and it goes to sometimes even to the level of we talk bad about our colleagues. I think that's not the way. So every other doctor is not a competitor. Let's start looking at every other doctor as a collaborator. How do we collaborate with them? So basically, I think this mindset change is also very important to overcome. If we are really, because unless we start collaborating with a doctor, unless we start collaborating with hundreds of doctors, how do we scale a larger, let's say, for example, organizations which have grown so huge, like even our charitable organizations, or even let's take for the example of Apollo Hospital. Dr. Pratap Reddy always thought, how does he want to collaborate with other doctors? He never thought everybody as a competitor. In fact, he wanted everybody. He created that platform where all the doctors could come and practice and build that larger organization. So in eye hospital also, there are so many examples where doctors have created opportunities for other doctors to come together and practice with their organization under a big brand. So this myth or this thinking that every other doctor is a competitor should also be overcome. And this is another interesting thought. I think as doctors, we want to specialize more and more. So we want to become like let's say we want to, from MBBS, we want to become an ophthalmologist. Just 1 minute. So the more we kind of become a specialist, we feel we can become more successful. So from an MBBS, we want to become an ophthalmologist, and from an ophthalmologist, we want to become a retina surgeon, and even in retina, we want to become more specialist, I think. But if you see, the more successful people are the generalist. This is debatable. I am sure we can discuss on this concept when we are going towards the session. But the myth that if I specialize more and more and more, I will become more successful is also a myth. If you see, the general ophthalmologists are more successful. The people who run the large eye hospitals are mostly general ophthalmologists. Or if you see, people who run large hospitals are MBBS doctors and they're not specialists. So why the generalist succeeds and why the specialist has a narrow margin of success? It's a very important topic which we have to discuss. But as we go ahead, I think that itself might want take up a large 30-minute session. So basically, we will talk about this, but just have this concept in mind that the more you specialize, it's not that you're going to be more successful. So other myths are scale. I need money to scale up. Money, I don't have the money. Somebody who has money can only scale up, who can create those big organizations. I'm sure it's not the case. Every small organization, every organization was started very small. For example, the biggest organization in West Bengal was started by a person who has actually started his practice in an optical shop. And then maybe as doctors, we also don't trust other doctors. We don't trust other people. So we have this feeling that everyone is out there to cheat me. I know better and I have to be very careful. Definitely a level of cautiousness is important. But on the other hand, we also have to be having the thought of collaboration, and that not everybody is out there to cheat us. And the medical world, when you see our discussions in the WhatsApp and our social media, there is always a huge amount of negativity. So basically, there is a lot of negative talks which keeps going on in the WhatsApp groups, like medical profession is becoming very difficult. The corporates are coming to take away. So it's becoming difficult with the regulations. So there are challenges in medical practice also, and every other profession, every other practice business also has got those challenges. So I don't, we should move away from being negative to becoming more positive. And we always don't want to take risk. As a doctor, we get a very comfortable life. We have a car, we have a house and everything in early stages. So we don't want to lose them, and taking risk also is a little lesser in doctors. So we are think that risk is only for businessmen, and as a doctor, I'm not supposed to take risk in setting up a huge practice and other things. So these are also the other myths I think we have to overcome. And so basically, this is the context I want to set in before we get into the meeting. And I would like to now invite Mr. Dharmendra Satapathy. I'm sure sir needs no introduction, because I'm sure at least you would have read one of his blogs and or his speeches in our channel, or maybe you would have at least been a part of his Facebook group. He is financial planner, but he is also a high level strategic thinker, and he kinds of has an analysis and thinking of in a different way. He has a lot of insights into how doctors can improvise their practice, and how doctors can kind of move away from being only skill based to scale based, and how can the medical practice scale. And this talk, I wanted him to customize it mostly for the single practitioners. It's not for a corporate hospital or somebody who's running a single practice, a self-employed person. How can he actually think in terms of scale? So we wanted it to be like a discussion between us. So we will also have a discussion in between, and if you have anything to pitch in, please feel free to kind of join into the discussion, and then we can take it forward from there. Over to Mr. Dharmendra Satapathy. So Satapathy sir also has an educational company called Next Level Education, which is into educating people on making good financial thinking, and making good financial decisions, and education in a lot of different areas also in connection to businesses. And he also runs Glosum Wealth Advisors, which is a company into finance planning for everybody. And thank you for accepting, sir, and we can start the discussion, sir. I'll stop my sharing. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And it was a very nice opening. And next level education, sir, is just like Ophthall. Like you are a platform for doctors and ophthalmologists. Next level is a platform for financial advisors. And the common thing is both a financial advisor as well as a doctor is a practitioner. Essentially, is a practitioner. He is a skilled person, and he meets clients. You all meet patients, and so there is a lot of commonality. And we have been working with our advisory people on scaling up their business. So advisors also need similar scaling up ideas and logic. And let me tell you one thing, doctors need it even more. And you will understand in my slides why doctors need it even more. Because as a single advisor also, no, I can scale up much faster than a doctor. So therefore, it's a very essential knowledge that you need to have. And my only request is, please sit like small children, which is a very difficult challenge. Okay, have a very open mind. Uh, because, whatever we have learned, whatever we have heard, the way we have grown up, there's a lot of things that makes us have strong opinions. Okay, and sometimes those opinions are like filters. They don't allow new thoughts to come in. So my only request is to pay attention and to have a very open mind. So whatever we are discussing, don't look at it as a debate. Try to build on it. Okay, it's very clear. Whatever I'm saying, the opposite of it is the opposite. Okay, so if we say, dude, this is the thing, if somebody strongly feels it is not like that, accept it. That all of us have it. But if to make this session very useful, I would request that try to build on the discussion rather than negate it, because this is not a figment of my imagination, or not that I dreamt about it one day. Whatever I'm going to talk about is something that we have picked up from other experts, big entrepreneurs, people who have made huge companies, from the people from whom we learn, from whom you learn. You learn from so many international books and authors and people who have authority. So this also has been created not as a figment of imagination, but it is from the work of others and from what others have said. We are just messengers, messengers who are convinced about what we have heard, and we have also implemented it. So that is how I would like to start my session. I'll open up with the presentation that I have created, and I also have a small calculator to show in this session of mine. So let me start with the basics, how we all grew up as kids and how even I grew up as a child. We all, when we were growing up, we were in a India which was a much more poorer India. Most of our parents were also not well-to-do. They expected that the child studies hard, beats everybody, comes first in class, becomes and becomes number one. This becoming number one actually gets into our head at a very early age in our life. So all through our school and college, we want to be number one. And when we start working in any company also, the first few years, we want to be the best because we want to shine. But you'll realize that in any organization, after a particular level, you cannot compete. You have to collaborate. So who is a good supervisor? A good supervisor is somebody who can work with people. Who is a good head of department? Head of department is again a good head of department will be a person who knows his department, the people in his department, who is hiring leaders. See, after a point, you don't even look at the work. You hire leaders who will look at the work. So we will cover that also going forward. But the whole thing is that we have all grown up in a competitive mindset. And that is how we all grew up. That is what our ecosystem at that time trained us. Okay. And therefore, many times you'll notice that the topper of any class never becomes as successful as perhaps somebody who was coming 10th in the class. Because somebody who was not doing too well learned how to work along with people. And that perhaps paid him better dividends at some stage in his life. So being a skillful person is extremely helpful at the early part of your life. But being extremely skillful becomes a problem at a later part in your life. So it's like an actor also. An actor is typecast with a particular kind of role. He may become very popular, win some awards, but at a later stage, because no, the public doesn't accept him in any other role, his career starts shrinking. Okay, so anything which we anything which is skillful and we go very deep in it, at a later stage in our life, it will come to haunt us. Even if we are good and even if we continue to be skillful, one thing is true, that we will all age. We will all grow old. We will all grow weaker. Our energy levels will start dwindling. And these things have a direct impact on our skill. So we have to be mindful. The other thing is, at some stage in our lives, we may want to do something different. Okay, as a doctor, you may not want to see so many patients. You may want to study more about the subject. You may want to take new knowledge that is there on the anvil to be picked up from the world, the studies that are being happening around the world. You may want to go for conferences. You may want to write a white paper. You may want to contribute to the overall growth of the profession. You may want to reach out the services to a very large number of people. Okay, so there may be other ideas that will come in your mind, but if you're not prepared for it, all you have to do is, all you can do is every day of the month, you go sit in your clinic and see more and more patients, and this can just continue and continue till you are like 70, 75. Okay, so yes, it was happening. It was also remunerative, but today there are many better ways to shape your career. And capital, like you say, no, to scale up, you require money. Yes, you require money, but this money wasn't there 20 years back. Today, that money is available. There is capital available with most people today, including you yourself will be having a lot of capital. Okay, so there are ways and means to corporatize, to grow, to scale up. And those myths that Dr. Senthil discussed were all very, very relevant. And they were not necessarily doctor-centric. It could be any professional-centric. It could be any practitioner-centric. So basically, corporatization involves transitioning a business from a private partnership or proprietary company to a private limited company to provide better services, professional market insights, and improved processes. The process includes establishing leadership board, introducing processes such as audit, accounting, HR, marketing, sales, technology, all of this. So this is just a kind of a captures the scope of what we are going to discuss. This is a
But
very
can
important.
I,
Yes,
sorry,
sir.
sir. I think you brought out a very important point in the previous slide, like which is also kind of so being extremely skillful is a disadvantage as you become older. I think that is what was the your point. So
Yes.
I think how can the, because general thought is the more and more skillful I become, more and more advantageous it is going to be. So how can maybe can we explain it a little further? Like, because as doctors, we always think that the more skill I have, I'm going to become better.
Okay, let me
I
give you an
will learn,
example.
I'll become more successful.
Yes, I'll let me give you an example. I did marketing. Okay, and I did my MBA, I did my marketing. When I was doing marketing, we did not even have Microsoft at that time. So when I started working, that is the time when gradually Word, Excel, PowerPoint, these things started coming in. So I had to learn this. Along the journey, new things kept on coming, which was not part of the course. Oh,
Mm.
including the way marketing happens today. You know, when we used to do advertising, I used to work for an advertising company. We were told that 50% of an ad is what gives you sales, and 50% of the ad is a waste. So it builds the brand. Today, every advertising is digital. So if you see, even today, after so many years of experience, if I were to get into as a marketing consultant, I will have to hire the youngsters who understand digital better. And today we have to hire people who understand AI better. Okay, so the entire ecosystem is all the time changing, changing, changing. So even if I was a gold medalist during my days, whatever was taught during those days is not relevant today. Okay, so the point is that and you know, one more thing is as we grow older and older, it's very difficult to go back and start studying from the basics. It's just not, that doesn't happen. The smarter way to do is to hire somebody who has that knowledge. So I think to believe that I'll keep specializing myself, I'll keep honing my skill, and I'll keep competing and beating everybody. I think that is very far-fetched because as we are improving, the people around us are also improving, and some of them at a much faster rate. This is seen in cricket also. You see in cricket, today we have such good players. One series they are so good, next series they are not even playing well. Somebody else is beating them hollow. So this is, we live in a very dynamic world, and we have to be mindful that there are people better than us being born, being educated, and who are around us. So it makes a lot more sense to be a person who can identify the diamonds which are around us. So that is what you said, a generalist. When I was a child and I used to be told that ship's captain is sometimes just a graduate, whereas the chief engineer is actually an engineer. So he's a much better student. He has worked harder. He understands how the ship runs, the engine of the ship runs. Okay, but who is the captain? The captain is a generalist, and he is paid more. And the chief engineer reports to the captain because the captain has a sees things from a much different perspective. Okay, he has a look on multiple things at the same time, how they all work together, and that is what takes the ship ahead. Just not a good engine. People are required. People have to be happy. So so on and so forth, sir. I think that is what I meant with that particular point.
So I think elaborating on that, it's like the people in the last bench can see the full view of the class rather than the people who are in the front bench, the good performers who have the view only of the board. But somebody sitting in the back bench can see what the teacher is doing and what the people in front are doing, and maybe has a view of the window I think that is the reason why the backbenchers succeed compared to. So what you are telling us, it's not wrong to continue acquiring skills, but you also have to be smarter to have or hire or collaborate with people who have more skills than you. I think that is what you meant. If you
Yeah,
want to acquire every skill, I think then it is the never-ending story. You just
true,
have to
true.
kind of acquire those skills, because I remember one of these corporate eye hospital chains, which was just now they're here also. The person who started it, when I met him, he said, "Sir, I'm a businessman. I don't even know the complete spelling of the word ophthalmology, but I'm here to start this large eye care chain." Basically, because he has the business acumen and he can get doctors who can join with him, and then he can get the right people to work for him. So doctors are in a constant pursuit to acquire skills. Like even what we see during COVID, when the interest on the financial thing started coming more and more, most of the doctors wanted to learn everything about finance, and they wanted to even become kind of financial advisors. Then we used to tell them, like, why are you trying to become that, but rather hire a good financial advisor and let him make a small percentage out of it. So because somebody doing a thing for 20 years, 30 years, it's very hard to replicate or learn that skill in a short time. But because problem as doctors we have is that doctors are the smartest people, definitely, but we are not that smart to acquire every skill in the world. I think it is also important to collaborate with people. So yes, sir, I understand the point. Yes, sir.
Even I was, even largely, if you look at my education background, I am also more of the studious kind of person. I've done my engineering, I've done my MBA, now I've done a CFP. Okay, and I used to often criticize a friend of mine, and I should tell my friend that you are a fixer of things. You're a fixer. I am a educated guy. Till I
Mm.
realized that the fixer became much more successful than me. And if you go back and look at politicians, what do? Okay, the most successful people are only connecting and doing something. Okay, so sometimes I think as very intelligent people and very strong technocrats and people who have worked harder, who have studied more, we tend to look at a person who's less educated as being less capable. So businessman is not a very good word. Okay, but actually the businessmen control everything. So I think somewhere we need to start understanding that one dimensional, being expert in a particular dimension need not take us to where we actually can go. We need to look at different dimensions also, and sometimes it comes from people who are less educated. I have people in my team much less educated than me, but in their area they are well ahead of me, and I never feel shy to tell my client that this is something I don't know. Please talk to Swapnil, who works with me. He understands this much better. He will solve your problem. Okay, so I think somewhere I have learned that, that even if somebody in status is smaller than me, I never hesitate. I just say, look, he is better than me. So I think that's a tough one, but one has to learn that at some stage to move ahead.
Yeah.
So let me go to this model. I think you all will understand this, and it's a very interesting model. Okay, so I don't know. I've not picked it up from any place. This is something I've created. Maybe if I'm someone, there could be a coincidence that it is there somewhere. But I just thought about it and I've created, and it makes a lot of sense to me. See, every business, to know whether your business will succeed, whether you will succeed, whether you'll make a lot of wealth or not, is dependent on these three factors. Two of these factors should work in your favor, not out of the three. If one doesn't work, it's all right. If two are not working in your favor, then you are in a problem. Okay, so I would request everyone to pay a lot of attention to this. So let's say your business volumes are large. Okay, you're having very large volumes of business. And let's say your margin is also very good. Okay, and your growth is not that much. You'll be very successful. Now, what kind of companies that come into your mind? Okay, if you look at the top brands like Hindustan Levers, P&G, they have penetrated their products to everybody. Everybody brushes their teeth. Everybody takes a bath. Okay, and therefore their soaps have gone. So there's very little opportunity now for them to increase volumes. If everybody is brushing their teeth, maximum they'll say, no, you brush your teeth twice. Or they will start a new way that after every like, that's what they do. If you see in the IPL, what did they do? IPL or World Cup, they were saying that after having a sweet, a mithai, post dinner, you need to brush your teeth. Okay, because volume is a problem, but their margins are good and growth is not so much because not in India, still growth is there because we still have a population which is growing. But in some places, you may not have growth where you already have everything that has reached everyone. And that is the reason many of the markets are not growing. The European markets, the Japanese market, because there's no growth over there. So if you have volume and you have margin and no growth, you can still be successful because you're reaching with a good margin to the volume and you have a brand that protects you. The next case is you could have very high volume, but your margins are very low. Okay, so I think I have covered it here. So you could, so I said the first one is volume is high, margin is high, okay, and your growth is low. So I gave you example of Hindustan Levers and Procter and Gamble. Now the second case, you look at this, volume is very high, margin is very low, but growth is very high. Now, typically, all your internet, your phone companies, your handsets, they all grew through this path, excepting for an Apple, which was a very powerful brand. They work with margins are low. The volume, a lot of people are adopting, and new people are growing, and people are also, trying to move into new phones. So, phone has become like a consumable. Okay, so these tech companies, phone companies, even the financial advisory. I will explain to you how financial advisory is different from a practitioner who is a doctor. See, if you look at a financial advisory company, the volume that we get in the business, volume can change. See, let's say you are a private practitioner as a doctor, your volume is limited by the number of hours you have. So if you have 8 hours or 10 hours to work, the volume is limited to by that. That controls your volume. Your margin is controlled by the market. If in the market everybody is charging 300 rupees or 500 rupees, you can charge 100 rupees here and there more, but you can't double your fees. So your margin. Now growth may be high. Population is growing, more patients are coming, but you are out of three, two of your parameters are not in your favor. Only one is in favor, but you can't take advantage of the growth because your volume you can't grow. Okay, please understand this carefully. Now, as a financial advisor, there is a little difference over here. Let's say I'm an advisor. In my case, even if there can be one customer who alone pays me 1 crore as investable amount. So I'm managing 1 crore of one person. Okay. And there could be and that same 1 crore can come from 10 people who are putting 10 lakhs each, or 100 people who are putting 1 lakh each. So here there is a possibility of increasing your volume because the volume in financial advisory is a particular person or number of people multiplied by the ticket size. So if the ticket size increases at an average, the volume grows with the same number of people. So like as a patient, as a doctor, you are meeting 10 patients, 20 patients every day. Okay, now that 20 patients is paying you 600 rupees, 500 rupees. Whereas in case of an advisory, that ticket size, which is 500 rupees, can become even 50,000 rupees. Okay, so please understand. So here what happens, high volume can be handled through a strategy. But of course, an advisor who cannot reach out to higher net worth people, who's only doing small amount of work, will also suffer from the same predicament. So I would say you guys need to look at this part very carefully. Your volume is controlled by your number of hours, and your margin is controlled by the market, and your growth is there in the market. Now, margin is something you can't do much about, but you can increase the volume. So you may ask how I'll increase the volume. So and that is the game. What we are discussing today is only that you have 10 hours a day. Can you create 100 hours in the day? Can you create 100 hours? Because the number of growth is so large that if I don't handle these patients, they will go somewhere else. So they are coming to me, but they will go somewhere else. I need to create 100 hours. And today's session is largely on that. And I don't want to cover it in this slide. When we come to the right slides, we will see how it happens. And there's one third kind of business, your volume could be very low, but your margin is high and the growth is high. Okay, so it's like luxury products, perfumes, BMW, Mercedes. They may not sell in very large volumes, but they have very high margins, and new rich people are coming. Okay, so this is a very, very important filter. I think you must really look deep into this filter, because this actually brings out where the pain point is. And now we have discussed the pain point in this slide. We will see how you can make 10 hours into 100 hours. It's a simple game. The leverage game or the scale up game is, I have 24 hours, out of which, chalo, let's look at, I have 10 active working hours. Can I make my 10 active working hours into 100 active working hours? If I can do that, I'm on my right path. And that is what is the essence of today's talk.
Can we
Okay.
maybe break a minute and then ask if participants have any, because
Yes.
it's almost 1 hour, if any questions from the participants, if you want to ask something,
Yeah.
because we want to know whether you have understood, and then if you have any queries, because the participants are silent. Is there any question, or you want to put some views? Please unmute and you can go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Myself, Dr. Vinny Singh.
Yes, madam. Good evening. Good evening. Please go ahead, madam. Yeah.
Like sir has explained that if one person is giving 1 crore and 10 persons are giving 10 lakh each and 100 is 1 lakh each. So
Mm.
how can we use this method in the running a hospital?
I think that is what sir is going to cover in the next maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah, because it's a very good example. So I want to go with this question only.
So with your limited time, how do you reach to more? Like every day you have only 10 hours or 8 hours of active work, but how do you convert
Yes.
that to 80 hours? So reach more volume.
Yes.
I think that is the
Okay.
essence of discussion today. And
We will cover that. We have slides for that. I didn't want to talk about it in this slide, but going ahead,
Okay.
we can do that. Anybody else has any questions? As I said, try to build on it rather than debate it, because debating, everything can be debated in the world. So, so it's better that we build and reach, at least get some path to move ahead. So should I move on, sir?
yes, yes, sir, please.
Okay, so the Achilles heel business means what really is the pain point in a particular business. And Achilles heel refers to a person or a thing's weakness or vulnerable point despite overall strength. The term comes from the Greek mythology, where Achilles was a powerful warrior who was invulnerable, accepting for his heel. And the vulnerability ultimately led to his downfall. So the same thing, we have to identify what in our practice is a vulnerable point, where we are vulnerable, and if we were to say our volume is stuck and we have to expand this volume. Is it possible? 100% it is possible. Okay, so and let's see how it is possible. So now we come to scaling up. So scaling up a business requires a clear vision. Okay, then comes what is a vision and what are the key ingredient of a vision. Okay, so when you think of a vision, you need to look where, I mean, I should think what's a vision. Everybody writes about a vision in every statement. But actually, if you see, vision is whatever in the world has happened today. Okay, so whether big homes, the palaces were built, okay, large homes are built, a train is built, somebody invented a train, right? Somebody invented an aircraft. All these things, if you see, they cannot be built by a single person. Okay, so if you see the left-hand side tent, this tent, perhaps a single man can still erect and he can still stay in it. But can he make this palace on the right-hand side or this mansion? A single man? Not possible. So how does he do it? This is a vision. So the man living in this tent had a vision to create this kind of a mansion. So what did he do? He can't do it alone. This picture was there in his head. He knew if he does this, that these are the advantages. This is how it will happen. But how does he execute it? He can only execute it if he sells this dream, this vision to another 100 people and says there's something like this we can make. And if those 100 people buy into his dream, buy into his vision, okay, they come together and they start making it happen. So after a very long time, I got my answer to what a vision is. The same must have happened for building a bridge, for building a large ship, because a small boat can only take you so far. But somebody must be having a vision. I want to go by sea and I want to travel all the way to the US, okay, cross the Atlantic. Now I cannot take this boat and go. So that was his vision. And then he got people to buy into the vision. And when they bought into the vision, they got together and they did something. Okay, so this is very, very important for you to understand. Okay, and anybody who gets into business has to have a vision. Okay, what is it that you want to build? You want to just build a big hospital like so many others have built? You want to build a specialized hospital? Do you want some people have a vision? I want to build something. I want to bring down the cost to a very, very low so that a lot of people can use it. And if you see Reliance, Reliance typically works with this kind of a vision. They make things extremely cheap for the common man, like Geo and things, phones. Okay, so they have a vision. Okay, so when they have a vision, people buy into the vision. When people buy into the vision, they come together, they work, they make an organization, and then they work towards making that vision happen. Because all the people working know that when it happens, they are part of big change. Okay. So this is one thing, but for vision to happen, this is our most important slide of the day. How can you make your 10 hours into 100 hours? Okay, so here if you see this lady, she has a pivot and there's a huge load. In fact, Archimedes had said, you give me a very, very long rod, I can pick up the earth. Okay, that's just a way of saying that whatever be the load, if you have leverage, you have this long rod and a pivot, you'll be able to pick it up. Now, in business, what is leverage? The business leverage is OPT, OPM, OPK, OPS, OPE, and OPI, and maybe more OPs. But when I say OP, the word O is others. Okay, other people's time. That is first, OPT. That's the most important thing. So if you are a single ophthalmologist and you have 10 hours with you and you have now 10 doctors working with you, you have 110 hours. Okay, they will work, and if the growth is there, if the volume is there, and you require 110 doctors, the 10 doctors will give you 100 hours. You may not earn the full margin, that doesn't matter. Even if you earn a small margin, okay, out of 10 doctors, that's huge. And moreover, that starts building your brand name. Okay, and if you can consistently do it, then you can get into franchising. You can have your systems, your name being followed across the country. And that is how you are going to handle volumes. So other people's time, other people's money. A lot of doctors say, I have a piece of land. Okay, I will build a building. I'll make it into a hospital. No, you have to use other people's money. There will be people who will want to collaborate, who want to put capital. You have to form a company. You have to have a strategy. You have to look at how do you make that company successful? How do you create value in that company? How do you have valuation of the shares? And you will see that capital can flow. In today's time, capital can flow in. So other people's money has to be used. If a doctor is going to use all his hard-earned money just to build his hospital, I don't think he is doing the right thing in today's time, especially such a dynamic environment. OPK is other people's knowledge. OPS is other people's skill. OPE is other people's energy. OPI could be other people's intelligence. Okay. You can, but the point being made over here is other people matter. And this is exactly what nobody taught us when we were in school. Nobody taught us when we were at home. Nobody taught us even in higher college. Nobody said other people are important. But the reality is other people are very important. And that is why the MBBS doctor is so successful. Because MBBS doctor knows that he is not the best. And he is depending on others. And this is the magic. And ability to work with others, to show them the vision that you have, to make them buy into the vision. to motivate them to come and work with you. I mean, this is the beginning of the journey of building a brand. Dr. Senthil, anything else you want to add to this?
Yeah, I think this is one important thing which people who have scaled and succeeded have understood quite early in life. So, particularly something like the other people's intelligence or other people's ideas. So, basically, it's not copying somebody else's idea, but I think you can, people, even your employee might have a very good idea which you can implement, which can create that. Huge impact the business because even many big innovations like even the lift or everything was came through a small hunch, like somebody giving a small insight. It's a small input which would create a huge business. For example, this if you go to the shops, you have this machine, I forgot the name, which automatically you put the cash machine. So that came because somebody in the, I think I forgot the name of the founder. He had a company where people, he used to keep money in the cash box, but people are stealing away the money. So then there was one of his friend, he suggested like, why don't you create something like this where once you put the money, it gets locked automatically. Then only when you need to open it again, it opens up. So that led to that huge innovation. So definitely, as doctors, sometimes we don't want to take other people's money also because we feel we can earn our own money. Why should I take money from others? And why should I kind of be answerable to other people? But if your intentions are very clear, and if your intentions are good and then you don't have the intention to cheat anybody, there is nothing wrong in taking other people's money. But only thing is, when we are taking the money from other people, tell them that there is also a risk. So there is a possibility of a profit in a business. Same time, there is also a possibility of a loss. So if the other person who is going to give the money or put the money to you also understands the risk possibility and is willing to take the risk with you, I don't think there is a problem. And I've seen many successful eye hospitals which have come up because of collaborating with the management person. So somebody is a doctor, good doctor, and he collaborates with somebody who has got experience in hospital management. So both of them together, they create a hospital. So one person takes care of the clinical processes, one person takes care of the management. That organizations grow very well. Even for example, the largest charitable hospital for Arvind Eye Hospital was started by Dr. Venkadasamy, and he was supported by his brothers who also had knowledge in other areas. They were management professionals, they were engineers. And so those people together, when they came, I think it created a larger organization. So basically the concept of using other people's intelligence, I think, is also something very important. And to have this, we as doctors have a limitation because most of our time is taken over by practicing. So morning till night, the doctor is in an isolated scenario. Basically, you are inside your own hospital and bound to work morning till evening. So you don't have the time to go out and kind of interact with other people. So let's say only if I see doctors who work almost there are others. One doctor I spoke, he said, I work 7 days a week. So what is the point in working 7 days in a week when you don't have the time to collaborate with other people? So basically, I think you should also have the time out. And other biggest problem which we see in doctors field is you interact only with other doctors. We go to conferences, interact only with ophthalmologists who also are having the similar mindset and thought process like you. But what you have to make sure is interact with the people who are not doctors, but interact with people from other specialties. Like today, we are interacting with Mr. Dharmendra. So he has thought process and knowledge and skill and expertise, which is totally different from what a doctor will have. So we learn a lot by interacting with these kind of other people also. So basically, collaboration will happen only when we go out of our day-to-day practice, create the time to meet other people, interact with other people from other specialties, other fields of life, and also have a relationship with them. I think that is very important if you want to use other people's time, other people's money, and it's not we are going to use other people's money with a good intention, other people's time by thinking the, or we are also wanting to give them a return. So there is nothing to be ashamed of in thinking that, oh, I should
Sir,
not.
when we invest money in mutual funds,
Yeah,
what happens to our money? Our money eventually reaches an industrialist. He
yeah,
uses our money to build his factory. He uses our money to hire people. So
correct,
he is using other people's money. We
correct.
are investing every time. We are doing SIP. We are the other people for some businessmen.
Correct. See, I was with this owner of this large group of education institution, SRM, which is a huge university, which is started by one of my relatives. So he said, doctor, basically, my growth has been because one thing was I was in the right place in the right time into the right business. But the second thing was I came from the village with no money, but banks were willing to give me loans. So I took the money from the bank and then I built this big infrastructure, and then students came in. So he said, I'm just a platform between the bank and the students. In fact, the bank used to open up an office in the institution only. So the fees of the students first goes to the bank, and the bank takes its EMI and then gives him the remaining money. He said, I use the money from bank. So what is the money from the bank is basically money from other people. Otherwise, how could a poor villager from a village come and create that big institution? So every company, I think, starts with other people's money, and as long as our intentions are good, definitely things will work out. This is a very important slide, as you had mentioned, that we should not once we start leveraging on this, once we start using all these points, I think definitely that is the only way to scale.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
and also banks, you have to also understand other people's money could be debt and other people's money is equity.
Yeah,
Okay, so when other people's money is debt, you have to use it in a particular way. When you are using equity money, you use it in a particular way. So when you're starting, you cannot only start with bank money. You have to have a combination. So of course, these are things one will have to go deeper at a later stage, but these are things you need to be aware that this is a science. What we are discussing is a science like your medical science. It is repeatable. What is science? Science is something that can get repeated again and again. Okay, so that is science. So this is a science. It gets repeatable. This is the only way to do it. Okay, there is no other way. It's not like just trying to try something and assuming it is not a game of chance. This is science. You have to follow certain steps all the time. Of course, then what is important in you as if you want to build your own clinic, you have to be the leader. You have to be the leader. Okay, or you have to hire a leader, and then you allow the leader to do. Then you provide the capital or something else. Okay, but it's very important to be the leader if you really want to start your own brand. And when you are a leader, you have to show that vision. You have to inspire. You have to create a culture in the organization, and you have to communicate because you are inspiring a set of people, which is your team. And when we talk about team doesn't mean staff. Staff is people who listen to you and they learn from you. Team is beyond staff. They are people from whom you learn. Okay, so you have to also hire leaders. If you are not good at leading, you have to hire a leader who will lead. Okay, so leadership, but typically if it is a organization you want to build from scratch, it's your vision, then you have to be at the leadership position because you are convincing people. You have to hire leaders under you, but that top leader has to be you. And you have to have a culture in mind because only when you have a organization culture in mind, you'll be able to, it's like a filter. You'll get the right people to work with you. You define the culture. You have to have an inspiration. Like somebody had an inspiration to build a bridge, to make a large ship, to make a train, to create an aircraft. And then, of course, communication is like the glue that holds people together. So I think, should I move ahead or, sir, anything you want to add into this?
yes, sir, yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir. Please.
So hiring and building a team is extremely important. I'll just read through what I am saying and we can discuss that. A good team is essential and it's important to have members who may be more skillful. than the leader in certain areas. So I think understanding and accepting that I need people from whom I will learn or whom I will listen to. I may not be able to learn. I may have to listen to them. That's very important. This requires overcoming ego barriers and focusing on collective strength of the team. The key to a strong team includes having a good marketing team. Marketing people are the guys who create lead. Okay, so you interest in your brand. Sales team will be the people who will close it. Okay, now in your case, you will require some amount of marketing. Okay, so people come and you need to have people who will also direct them and close them and make them customers. Okay, and then customer service team, people who will serve the customer, and operations team, all of which contribute to building a very unique brand. Understanding the difference between team and staff is very important, which I covered in the previous slide. Then comes systems and processes. Establishing robust systems and processes is crucial for the smooth operation and scalability of a business. This includes compliance, auditing, best practices. Okay, and here comes the concept of standard operating procedures. So I'm sure you all know this because it is part of clinical work also. You all have to have standard operating procedures when you do surgery, when you're looking after a patient, because basically everything has to be repeatable. Everything has to be controlled. Okay, so the same science that is used in clinical medicine is also used to run an organization. The science of checklist, the science of a manual with a particular way of doing things. So these things are common both in clinical practice as well as building an organization. We all, in our language, we say when you are in clinical practice, you are working, you're working in the business. You're in the business. When you are when you are handling patient, you are in the business. When you are working on your company and you're building compliances, audit, best practices, and you are creating a team, you are putting these processes in place, these procedures in place, now you are working on the business. So it's not as easy as just making a building and starting a hospital. You have to think through all these steps, and then comes the brand building part. There are only 2 slides, and after that we can get into a discussion. So let me just spend 3-4 minutes on this, and then we get into a discussion. But please, very important slide. Eventually, all the hard work that you're going to do, you're going to hire a good team, you're going to describe the vision to them, you are going to communicate to them, you're going to have a filter so that you get a good team. You don't work with people who are not aligned. Okay, having done all that, having built an organization, what is your end objective? Your end objective is to build a brand name. So today, let's look at a brand like Apollo Hospitals. When I go to Apollo Hospitals, I am not as demanding as to who my doctor will be. Because when I walk into Apollo Hospital, I somehow believe that they would have the right doctor for me. But when I don't have a brand, then I walk into a hospital, I will be very concerned about who my doctor is, whether he is an experienced doctor, whether he is not an experienced doctor. All these questions come in my mind. But when there is a brand is a risk mitigator. Okay, so when you have Cadbury's, you never think that you will have Cadbury's and you will get you will be poisoned. Okay, so when you have an Apple phone, you know that even if you are in the middle of a lift and the lift stops, the Apple phone will work. Okay, so the brands are risk mitigators. And how is brand built? Brand is built by doing the right things, the good things, the standard things again and again and again for a long, long time. And having done that, you build a brand. And once the brand is built, it builds an emotional connect with lakhs and lakhs of people. Some of them will be your users, some of them won't be users. Everybody doesn't go to Apollo Hospital. Only when a person falls ill, he will go to Apollo Hospital. But when he falls ill, he says, take me to Apollo, take me to this brand, take me to that brand. Okay, that gives him a lot of peace of mind with which brand is going to. So to build a brand, it takes effort. It can be Mehta's, it can be Singhania's, but ideally build a brand which is not a surname. It's better that way. Okay, so building a brand involves having a clear vision, ensuring scalability, and creating a win-win situation for multiple stakeholders. Your biggest task and your biggest challenge is that if you're going to work with 10 doctors, how will you work with 10 doctors so that they also feel that they are winners? So that is the place where you put your mind. That how do I, sometimes you make them stakeholders, sometimes you give them very high salaries. Okay, so there are different ways. So, and creating a win-win situation for multiple stakeholders who are interested in building the brand. The brand, or either building the brand or working for the brand. So when I used to work for Tata, that Tata card, my visiting card having Tata, gave me a lot of emotional satisfaction. And if you work today, if you ask a person, my son is working for Apple, my son is working for Google, the father is proud, the son is proud, everybody is proud. Okay. So that is what a brand does. And once you reach that level, you can charge a premium and people will be happily wanting to pay a premium. They'll happily pay a premium. Look at the Apple phone prices. Okay. So building a brand is the ultimate. And when you build a brand, the next step is you as the person who started it has to take a back seat and get out of the scene. Only when the creator gets out of the scene, that brand works on its own and gets more valuable in the eyes of people, and that is called valuation. Okay, so the brand should be independent of any individual. Okay, so your role, no, the systems, processes, they work, the team works. The brand should be independent of any individual with a sense of permanence and trust that future generations can rely. So basically today, I know, we are buying shares of Tata, we are buying shares of Reliance, we are buying shares of so many companies. Are we ever worried that if their owner or the brand, the promoter dies, do we ever think about that? We never even think about that. We know that if the leader dies, imagine Steve Jobs went away. Okay, still Apple only grew bigger and bigger. Okay, so that is where we have to take your brand. It should not be dependent on you. If without you, the brand has no value, then you have no valuation. If without you, the brand has value and it can work on its own, now you have a legacy brand, something that your next generation can take over. And your next generation need not even be doctors. Still, they can take over. Okay, this is more valuable in the long term than relying on secret formulas and proprietary techniques. It's more powerful. A big, strong brand is more powerful than secret formulas, secret way of doing things, and proprietary techniques. So when you talk about valuation, what are we talking? When you talk about profit, we say 10% profit. We say 15% profit, 20% profit. When you talk of valuation, you say 10x valuation, 15x valuation, which means if the profit is 10%, the valuation will be 10 times, 15 times, 20 times. Okay, that means the outside world wants to pay money and buy your share. This is the journey. And then you create what is called a legacy brand and very high valuation. So what happens eventually? Eventually, you don't even look at the patient. You only control the management team. Even the CEO reports to a management. CEO is part of the management team. You become the non-executive director. Your job is not patient. Your job is to manage the management team. And the management team looks after the business and looks after patients. And that is exactly what must be happening in Apollo Hospital. The promoter will never be looking at patient. He's only interested whether I have the right CEO, I have the right management team. And this is the power of invisibility. Unless you can be invisible, you cannot create a visible brand. It's a simple rule. As this is the last slide, we have come the full circle. As a kid, I wanted to be number one in my class, to a point where we are saying to really be successful in the world, you shouldn't even be seen over there. You should be invisible. Okay, only your vision should be visible. Okay, sir, we can take questions now because this is the last slide. I think we can now take questions and give you clarification if at all you have any.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I think it was very insightful and a lot of conventional ideas, conventional thinking, thought process. I think we are trying to break or disrupt those thought processes today. Because always as a doctor, we want to be visible. We want to be the front of the organization. But if we want to scale up, I think it's important to be also invisible in your business. In terms of managing people, I think in India, with so much of population, every business can have, every business is viable. So even if you are selling coffee or tea, there are so many people to consume your coffee. But only issue is how are you going to execute it? How can we sell, say, 1 crore coffees in a day? So that's the key. And any business, you can, it's just managing people. I think if we are able to manage people better, it's going to be, we can create, I think the most important thing in scaling up is also managing people. So how do you get the right people, and then how do you make them stick with you, and how do you manage them to run along with your vision? That's the most important thing in India, and particularly with the culture, the new generation, the younger generation culture, it's very difficult to get work from people. So people want to get paid more, but they don't want to work. So once we are able to crack that, and once we are able to motivate people to work with us and then deliver results, I think even we don't need initially at the initial stages, I would say that we don't need a huge 100 or 500 people working for us. Even if we have a core team of say 10 people who work for us in a very effective way, I think that is also very important. So initially 10 people who can carry forward our vision, and then we can scale it up. Because when WhatsApp was created, I am sure you know that WhatsApp didn't have a huge team. It just had around 78 or 80 employees when WhatsApp was sold to Facebook for billions of those valuations. So important to have people and manage them properly, and then make them deliver your vision. I think managing a business is just managing people, managing our partners, managing our investors, and managing everybody. I think if you're able to manage properly, that is very important. So thank you, sir. I think basically a lot of insights on how to move from a skill-based organization to scale it up to a larger organization. And basically another thing which is also important is being in the right place in the right time, and doing the right thing. I think that is also important if you have to succeed. But not everybody can become those. It's Apollo Hospital, but at least we will try to become that. I think that why should we lose that opportunity? Why should we not try to become it, rather than just thinking that we cannot become a larger organization? So maybe we can open up to our doctors who have joined. Around, I think, 27, 30 people are there. Thank you all for being here, and I hope it was insightful. We have another, say, 15 minutes. We can take up some questions, and then we can wind up the session. I think Dr. Angad wants to ask a question. So please unmute, Dr. Angad. Yeah.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're audible, you're audible.
Yeah. Okay. Good evening, sir. Thank you. It was very insightful, and thank you to Senthil sir and Dharmendra sir also. I am a beginner. I mean to say, I had passed my MS and did a job elsewhere, and now I am back to my hometown, and I want to start my practice. So I want to ask whether it is better to take loan. Like I'll be starting, I am capable to do OPD setup on my own without taking loan. So my plan is to start with OPD first and then gradually progress and then go on for subsequent OT and scaling. So my question number one is that whether should I take loan or should I invest my own money, which I'm interested into this making money also. So I'm taking knowledge and I have built a fairly good portfolio according to what I used to get. So this is my question. Anybody, please. Thank you.
I have actually a very, this question brings me to a calculator which I have created. So let me just share this, and this calculator will help all of you who are here. So can you see this calculator? No, it's black over here. One second. Let me go through this route. This calculator will give all of you all an idea about what is happening. 1 second. Can you all see this?
Yes, sir.
You can see this calculator. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I've just done this simple calculation because, first and foremost, we discuss other people's money. So that loan is actually other people. That is one thing. So in life also, there is an opportunity cost. No? If you do this, you can't do that. Okay. Similarly, if you give your money to your building your hospital and all those things, that money is not available for something else. So now let's look at this kind of, see, all of you as doctors also have wealth with you, also have capital with you. Okay. Many times, every doctor need not think that I have to do a clinic. I have to build a hospital. Every doctor can't build a hospital. Not possible. Okay. But even if you don't build a hospital, you should realize that how your money works for you. So I've done a simple calculator. I've looked at investment giving 12%. I've looked at 7% inflation. This is the real rate, 4.67. I've looked at you can look at a lifestyle of, let's say, to start with, 1 lakh a month, 12 lakhs lifestyle. Current age could be, we can change the age. Okay, current age could be 30, 31. You can perhaps be doing an SIP of 1 lakh rupees. And you could have a lump sum of, let's say, 20 lakhs with you, inherited, got from your past savings. And I'm looking at a lifespan of 90 years, okay, which is very long. Just look at it, how interesting it is. If you invest your money, how your money grows. And every time your money grows, it gives you years of freedom. So here it is giving you 3.1 years of freedom. Then it becomes 4.7 years freedom. By the time you're 35, you've got a 12-year freedom. By the time you're 38, it is a 32-year freedom. By the time you're 40, it's freedom forever. I hope I'm trying to see now, if you put your money into your thing, that money is not going to work. Okay. So this is a very important side. Friends, you all should put your numbers over here and first and foremost find out whether you guys are free. Okay. For example, if I'm free, okay, and let's look at a case like this. You can also, let's say a person has with him 50 lakhs. Okay, and he has an ability to do SIP of 1 lakh. Okay, so now if he's free after by the time he's 38, let's look at a scenario where he's doing, maybe he has 75 lakhs, 70 lakhs here. Okay, and he can do an SIP of 1.5. Okay, and the returns he can target 14%. Now you see this person is technically free after 3 years. Now, if I were a doctor, and if I see, starting a hospital is not everybody's cup of tea. Okay, you need to have a leadership quality. You need to inspire people. You need to bring people along. Everybody may not like it. We are all made up of, we're different. Everybody doesn't have the same aptitude. Okay, but if I have capital and I know that I am kind of financially free, okay, I have enough money, then even if you do practice, and your practice doesn't scale up too much and doesn't give you too much of money, you don't have to worry. Okay, so look at things both ways. First is whether you really, really want to start a hospital, make it big. So that is one way. Second is if you are having capital with you, and I have been talking to a lot of doctors, and I have found doctors who are earning like 2 lakhs rupees a month, and they have a 4 crore real estate lying vacant and locked up. That 4 crore real estate is 4 lakhs a month. It's 4 lakhs a month, but that is earning him nothing. And you're working so hard to create 2 lakhs a month. Okay, so I would urge everyone over here to look at this discussion not as a discussion that if all 27 people will create hospital. Can you imagine if everybody creates hospital, what will happen? It's not possible. Okay, so sometimes some people have to choose to do a high-paying job. Sometimes some people have to. So there are I have a wealth management company, and my business partner is a doctor. Okay, and he is now only focusing on wealth management. Okay, so another thing is we as engineers and MBA, we never had a title attached to our name. And I was not called Dr. Dharmendra Satapathy. Okay, as a result of which I could be very, very flexible. Okay, so I have worked in advertising. I was an engineer. Okay, I worked on the shop floor. I worked in advertising. I worked in mutual fund as a head of marketing. I became a trainer. I traveled across India and I was doing training. Then I went into wealth management. All this I could do. But if I'm sure if you're a doctor, the moment you're a DR in front of your name, somehow you're, you get, you're blind. You just see that much. Okay, you can't have a wider perspective. Your perspective narrows down. Either I am opening a hospital or I'm going to have a clinic and I will be a practitioner, or I will do a job, okay, in a hospital made by them. So it's not necessary. And second thing is, we often, when we say we are very highly educated, I think education is more about having the ability to learn. See, because I'm an engineer, engineering was a tough course. It wasn't easy. We had to work like 8-10 hours. We had to study. Okay. So what engineering taught me was that when I got into advertising, I had the confidence I learned that. When I got into mutual funds as a head of marketing, I had the confidence that I will learn it. When I appeared for CFP and I became a CFP, that is one of the highest, best certifications in personal finance. I had the confidence I'll do it. So I think you should not look at your education purely from the point of view that is a medical education. Education has given you confidence that you can take on challenges in life. So again, I think there's a very important way of looking at who we are and what we have. Okay, if I fall in love with my engineering only, that I was an engineer and everything has to be around engineering, then I would have not done what I did in life. So I think, and as I give you an example, my partner is a doctor, and he's a highly qualified postgraduate doctor who studied from London. So he's not a small doctor. Okay, so I think have a very open mind and analyze what you want to do. One is your capital can work for you big time. Second thing is you can certainly open a hospital that you haven't planned. Third is if you have good amount of capital, you can also practice and be happy. And if you have good amount of capital, you can be an employee also and be happy and give up the job whenever you want to. Build more capital and relax. Okay, you can be part of a group who's building a hospital, so where you don't take the full headache on yourself. The vision could be somebody else's. You could work along with him. So there are so many paths to take. I think one has to, first of all, do a self-introspection as to who I am, what is my strength, what I like. So a person who doesn't like to lead, who doesn't like to talk to people, and let me tell you, I am not one of those guys who loves to talk to people. Okay, so I will be also a guy who's more like a doctor mindset. So if you don't have that quality, you don't want to fix things, you don't want to do this, you don't want to talk to the politician, then sometimes, medics, it's not a great idea to open a hospital because you will face road barrier. If you're a technocrat who likes medicine a lot, who likes patient, see you have enough capital that gives you 4-5 lakhs a month and do your job and just look after patients. So many things are there. So as far as your question is concerned, I covered it. I covered many things with your question because that gave me a chance to reach out to other areas. But I think in your case, you should always take loan. You should always take loan because loan is the cheapest capital. Now, if you invest money in a mutual fund, you can expect 15-17% return. Loan will always be at 8-9%. Okay, so loan is the cheapest capital. Always take the cheapest capital. Only thing is, you can't take loan and build a building. Okay, because if you take loan and build a building, you have to repay the loan. And the repayment cycles are shorter. Okay, so if you should take loan only when you can repay it. So let's say I am taking a loan. I can't take a loan to build a brand. It takes about 5 years to build a brand. I have to advertise and I have to first sink in money. Look at Swiggy and Zomato. Now, they can't take loan from a bank and do those advertising. They have to take money from people like you and me, but they have to promise them 25, 30%, 40% returns. So it depends upon, for your working capital, always loan is good. But for making a big building, you start your building now, 3 years later, it will be ready. Then the equipment will come. You start really making money on the 5th year. Then you can't take a bank loan. Yeah, he's
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Thank you, sir. That answered my one question. Now, second question and last question from me is that is there doctor's loan or medical loan available? Because when I am inquiring amongst some of my colleagues who are not associated with Ophthal, they are taking that the cheapest loan is house loan. And what I have got inputs through my past years, that there are some companies which are financing doctors also, medical equipments, loan and all at cheaper rate, not like 10%, but less than 10% or so. So are these loans available for doctor in name of doctor's loan or hospital loan something?
I think maybe Dr. Senthil would have a better answer. I don't have an answer. I don't know. I'll have to find out.
No, I think for doctors, it should not be confused with the housing loan. Housing loan is purely for housing purpose. You have to build a house. So, and the cheapest rate of interest is for the housing loan. But for a medical practice, either there is a doctor's loan or a business loan, which is slightly at a higher rate of interest, say 10 or 11%. And for equipments, there is a cheaper kind of a loan. So interest rates are low. So you can take a lower rate of interest for equipments. And for a business, the loan rate is at least 10-11%. That is standard in India. So we have to go for that loan. So basically, as Mr. Dharmendra sir has said, loan is the cheapest form of money you can get because you don't have to dilute the equity. So you don't have to dilute equity. You own the practice business 100% at the starting point. But whether starting a clinic alone in this point of time and then trying to make it into a hospital, because now people have got used to the smaller eye hospital, like just like, see, you think if you want to go to a restaurant, you are looking at a certain basic facilities. It's not only the chef, you are not looking at the chef. So the hospital also, now people are having a vision of eye hospital as something like this, because with the corporate hospitals coming in, people want the eye hospital to be separate. There has to be a receptionist, there has to be waiting lobby, there has to be a operation theater inside. So people have particular mindset of the ambience and facilities which should be available in an eye hospital to trust and get operated. Like, will you take your father to a small clinic and then trust the doctor to get operated? So maybe you have to think of that way. I'm not telling you to invest crores and crores of money to start a hospital initially, but at least create the basic infrastructure so that patients trust you for a cataract surgery, because cataract is the most common surgery. So eye hospital has to be at least in a 2,000, 3,000 square feet space with some 8-10 neatly dressed staff and then the basic facilities. Just like if you want to go to a restaurant, you want to have a certain standard. So a hospital also needs to have that standard apart from a good doctor. So you need to create that facility that way if you want to succeed. I think that would be my suggestion. No, OT can be added later also, but at least the ambience of the clinic has to be perfect initially. Are there any other questions? I think we can take some more questions.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening, Dr.
And
Wagi.
I'm Dr. Wagi speaking, sir.
Where are you
Sir,
from, sir? Where are you? Maybe you can also introduce.
Davanagere, sir, from Davanagere, Karnataka.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah, tell me, sir. Tell me, sir.
Sir, I have my own hospital set up in my place, which is running since last 7 years. I have a
Okay.
small brand name, my own hospital building, everything. To scale up or to start up a new branch, I have a mindset that whenever sir said, Dharmendra sir said about OPT, OPM and all those things. But when we start a new branch or when we try to scale up, we need to depend on other people or other doctors. So whatever the at present probably I have around on my turnover I have 50%, more than 50% profit. When I associate with somebody, I have a mindset that whenever I allow other surgeons to do, the quality of the surgery may come down, or the percentage of margin, whatever, more than 50%, it may come down. So that mindset I have. So I don't want to something like I don't want to scale up for these two reasons. One is quality, one is my net profit will come down, and third thing is whatever the small brand name I have, that may be lost because of the quality. Whatever say regarding this, sir.
Yeah, so as I said, if you have good amount of cash flow with you,
Yes, sir.
then you look at whether your cash flow is good enough to give you support throughout your life. Whether you so in that case, if you already have good amount of capital with you, see, now it's a question of mindset. Whatever you are saying, that my margin will reduce. Margin will reduce, but ultimately you will create more wealth. Okay, that is the reality. Whether I can maintain my quality with other doctors, the reality is yes, you can. Otherwise, Dhirubhai Ambani, Mukesh Ambani would not be making hospitals. Okay. But the point is you have to change your mindset, and changing mindset is not as easier said than done. Okay, so in your case, if you are having a good amount, what with your size, if your income is good, you are making 50%, you are a happy person, you have enough capital. Okay, like I showed you the capital. If you have that much of investable amount, which is going to
Yes,
give
sir.
you cash, which can give you cash flow when you need, in that case, you need not go the franchisee way. Because see, finally, it is your conviction in that my brand will become bigger with more people. I'll get doctors who will maintain quality and improve quality. If that conviction is not coming in, then look at the other options that you have. Stay the way you are, grow. That also is giving you happiness and wealth. Okay, so as I said, everybody need not go that way of expanding too much. So what I wanted to focus on is look at your own capital, your financial assets. If your financial assets are very good, then you have all the options. You have options to scale up and become big, and you have options to be happy where you are.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
I think basically we wrote one blog on that small is beautiful. The most happiest ophthalmologists are those who have one hospital and then make see 30, 40, 50 patients in a day and earn a decent profit. But it doesn't mean that everybody has to limit themselves that way. If you are somebody who has the ambition to scale, who wants to create a multiple, so you have to decide your inner thoughts, way, like you have to ask yourself why you actually want to scale. So if you are a person who is interested in reaching out to more patients, or what is the purpose? Is it like earning
Sir,
more
because
money?
no, nowadays patient doesn't want to travel like longer distance. So if some hospital is there in the next adjacent taluk, they want to go there only and they stop coming in.
Correct, correct. So
There
people
is
don't
a-
want to go for more than 3 to 5 kilometers. 3 to 5 kilometers is what people are now traveling to seek a cataract surgery. So there is people don't want to travel, but your thinking of why is the profit 50% is basically maybe might not be, it might be notional also, because you're not calculating your salary in the profit. So if you take up that every month your salary is 3 lakhs or 2 lakhs, so then is the profit still 50%. Second thing is maybe you are in your own building, so you don't calculate a rent for that. And when you are, maybe you are doing you are also doing a manager's work, so you don't have a manager's salary there. You are trying to control everything, so the profit is 50%. So it is a notional profit, but when you calculate actual, it may not be 50. The second thing is basically, let's say if you are making 10 lakhs a month and making 5 lakhs, but why don't you think of a way of making 10 crores a month and having a 20% profit out of that? That is still far more than that. So we cannot calculate that way. And quality, definitely starting another branch by an individual is purely focused on getting another doctor. So only I would advise you should start another practice, another center, if you have a very dependable doctor, because he is going to deliver that quality, and without him that center is not going to run. Because for a corporate, they have hundreds of doctors, so even if one doctor goes away, they will get another doctor to that center. But for an individual to scale, you have to, maybe it's either a friend of yours, or maybe it's somebody from your own institution, or a relative, or somebody who doesn't have the capital. Then you start another branch with a very, very dependable doctor whom you know that he will stick, and maybe try to make him as a partner in that center and make him financially committed also. Then that center will work. Otherwise, see, I had this interesting discussion because we had a lot of discussion about Apollo hospitals here. So there is this Dr. Mohan who runs this large chain of diabetes clinics, Mohan Diabetes Centers in Chennai. So this, I think around 10 to 15 years back when we were discussing, Dr. Mohan gave a very interesting point. He said, like, See, Apollo hospitals wanted to start a chain of diabetes clinics during that time, where they said we have enough funding to start 150 diabetes clinics. They had the funding available, so they reached out to Mohan to start they said like you become the expert and we will start together. You become a partner for that. Dr. Mohan said, I was not willing to start that because where do I find 150 good diabetologists to run these 150 centers? So I will start the center only if I have a good diabetologist. So like the same, if you have to look at an opportunity to get a good doctor. So if you identify one or two good doctors, then you go and start looking at a place to open up a center, because opening up a center is not a huge thing. Particularly, maybe all you need is 70, 80 lakhs or 1 crore to start another center. But the key is to get that good doctor. So if you get a good doctor, then you go ahead and start. And for second thing is why do you want to do it? Is it for more earning, or you want to create a bigger brand? You want to create a large group of hospitals which you want to sell to a corporate? So a lot of reasons. You have to identify what is the reason you want to do that another center. Because many times some of the doctors have failed because they were not getting doctors for the centers. So the key is getting a good doctor to start. If you have a good doctor, go ahead and start a center. And if you are having that personality to start the new center.
Also, sir, whoever is a good doctor, you will have to compensate him very well. Okay, because if you compromise on that, then that good doctor won't stay with you for long. And if you want to build a strong brand, you'll require people to be with you for long. So if you identify a good doctor, you have to work out your salary or whatever structure in such a way that it is win-win. He should feel like a winner also. So
And we
anything
should make them as a partner, sir.
Pardon?
We should make them as a partner of
Yeah. Sometimes you don't make it the person immediate partner because you want to see him. See, it is always better to pay money than to give somebody stake. Okay, because stake is like marriage. Okay, so if you're given stake means if tomorrow that guy is not good or you don't want to exit, it becomes very difficult. But if you pay somebody good amount of money and profit sharing, then you still have the time to judge the guy. And once you judge that he is good and you're very confident about him, then you can move into ESOPs and things like that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So are there any other questions? If somebody has a question, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Myself,
I think, doctor, your voice is breaking a
Yeah,
little.
we have
Hi,
a
Parikshit,
small
Dr.
hospital in
Parikshit.
our small city, and
Dr.
Haji sir,
Hello, hi, how are you?
I'm great, sir. I'm great. How are you, sir?
I'm good. You wanted to have some information around these topics only which happened.
Yes, I wanted to have information around these topics only. So I have one hospital, and we have around branches of around 3 hospitals, and like one more peripheral center. So we all are working fine, and we are working in a profit margin also in our sub centers and peripheral center also. But sometimes I feel ki when I was having only my one hospital, it was fine. Rather, I have increased my headaches. I do have HR and manager and accounts and managing people also with me. But then also things sometimes comes to me only in the end. And one more thing that I for a long time I was wanted to convert it into private limited also, but my CA always used to say that uh, you will be increasing your headaches. There will be more audits and everything would be there. So couldn't convert it into private limited also because the CA was always was pushing me back regarding this.
Yeah, I would say that CAs also have a very single dimension approach. Their approach is always about saving money. Okay, and saving money in the short term is sometimes detrimental for the long term wealth. Okay, so sometimes, when you say, I don't want to pay income tax. Okay, actually, if the richest people pay the maximum income tax. So when you don't want to pay income tax, means you don't want to be big. It's like that. So CAs many times have a very, again, single-minded perspective. Second is when you want to have, when you have a hospital like yours, there are two things you can look at. One is you want to build your own brand. Okay, that is one, which is the ultimate thing and most difficult. Okay, it's not easy. The
Yeah,
second is,
we are working on making brand. We are working, but actually, we don't have, like, there is a no end point. Like, what is the end point of making a brand? And like,
no, so
I
that's what
really,
your end point of making a brand is when somebody comes to you and says that I am in this city, can I use your name and your system? Okay, that is the ultimate point. That means the demand is there in the market for somebody to use your name and pay you for that. Okay, but the other way of looking at it is you create such a efficient and smooth system in your hospital, everything running smoothly, patients coming, good amount of throughput, no complaints, all moving. Then you can actually, some bigger brand can pay you money and take you and make you like, you can still work over there, but you give your stake away to them. Okay, now for that you need to be a private limited. Because you're not private limited, what are you going to give? Okay, so the point is, if you're private limited, you can give a stake to them. Okay, so then you don't take the headache of growth. There's somebody else who's thinking growth. Okay, so it becomes easier for you. So at your case, because you are not a single practitioner, you either have to decide, I want to run a very efficient hospital and eventually get a bigger brand associated with me, or I want to be the big brand. That decision you'll have to take. Once you make up your mind, then the strategy gets clear. Either ways. Then you know which are the areas you have to focus on. So if you want to associate with a bigger brand, then your focus areas is completely on operations, on complaint management, client satisfaction. All those things become very, very important. So that, as an entity, and of course a decent name, so somebody gets interested. If you want to build your brand, then you have to do many other things besides this. And have more patience also. And then reach out to people who want to associate with you. So that that brand goes to another city, another location, another place. So both have their own strategies.
like, I just tell you one thing. I recently got a very nice opportunity in a city around 50 kilometers, 60 kilometers away from me. Set up by a lady ophthalmologist who wants someone to take it over because she is not able to run it. It's a well managed and well everything. But I just thought ki already the workload and centers I am already running and having is already enough, and don't want to take another headache. I just thought, and we would just help them out by giving some ideas or something, but taking it over would becoming an issue. So like this thought process, I am right. First, my thought process used to be like how to, like the last doctor just questioned right now ki, like they want to expand. This was my approach beforehand. Like my approach has now changed. Like okay, fine, this is good. Now let us, whatever we have, we just consolidate that to a nice thing.
So again depend. You have to do the introspection. No, so even if you want to expand, you can expand, but not necessarily you have to do the hard work. Somebody else can do the hard work and expand. Okay, so either somebody else does the hard work, expand, hire leaders, let them do the hard work, or else you associate with somebody. But that whole leverage thing, other people will always be required. So you have to be always hunting, and that is why what Dr. Senthil said. If you have time, so when you're not having time, you're meeting patients all the time. When will you do it? You'll require a lot of time to pick up the phone, talk to people, have the connects, reach out to people. So many things go into this. So you staffing and having good team so that you have enough time to think. Now again, you have to think whether I want to sell stake to a bigger guy who's interested in me, or I want to be the brand and others will want to attach themselves with me. But end result is you don't have to work very hard. Because if you are going to work very hard, then then rather you use your money that you have, your capital, that is going to give you enough money in the next 25, 30, 40 years, and you can relax. So whatever it is, eventually you have somebody else has to work and you have to manage people. You have to have them. If you're going to work all throughout your life hard, then then what is the whole joy about building something so large? Basically, you have to build something large without your having to do all the hard work. and you still become the owner of that. So that is the joy of being an entrepreneur.
Sir, I think basically there is another issue here. Why should CA advise about going into the private limited company and all these things? Because that is a business decision. A lot of the times we make the mistake of going to the CA for advice on our business development. And sometimes CA's advice on finance, CA's tell us which mutual funds we have to put. CAs are somebody who are only supposed to kind of file the income taxes, and then we are not supposed to take any business advice from the CAs. And particularly this advice that a private limited will have more audits and then it is going to cost a lot of money and all. What extra you do is only the filing with the ROC, which might cost another 30,000-40,000 more. And having a private limited when you've got so many 3 branches and everything makes a perfect sense. And I'm sure you're also having other family members who are working with you. So basically, it is important to make it as a private limited so that each of you can have your shares and then create a bigger company. And when you want to exit in the future or when you want to bring your children in, all the transactions become very easy when you make it as a private limited company. So don't go to the CA for this financial advice. And I think when you are in already having 3 branches and then you are having this enterprise, now you have to focus on creating the value, because creating the brand is also creating a value for yourself. And it doesn't mean that you have to sell tomorrow, but what is the value of your company? Because today I listened to this Dr. Velumani, who is the owner of Thyrocare, he has got this video where he says like when ICICI came to invest in him, he didn't want to sell the company, but he wanted to understand what is the value. So he said initially, first time he said, my company value is 400 crores. Then he said 500. Then they came after 1 year to give him 600 crores. Though his idea was not to sell the company, but he got the thrill that, oh, somebody coming from a village can now create a company worth 600 crores. So I think Dr. Parikshit also should be thinking that way, just to understand what is the value of your company. And it is important to have a private limited. When you're a small clinic, when you just have one center with less revenue, it is okay to have it as a proprietorship or a partnership or anything. But when you have it as a private limited company, when you have 3 or 4 branches, I think it is important to convert it into a private limited company, because giving it to somebody or getting him investments, and you should have all the audit processes properly. I think it is important to have it in a private limited. Expenses are not maybe another 30,000-40,000 you spend more, and a little bit more compliances need to be followed.
The moment you become a private limited company, you will unlock wealth, unlock valuation. Okay, I'll give you an example. Let's say a distributor who's a single distributor, he has zero valuation. Let's say he is managing 100 crores of assets and in his own personal name, he has zero valuation. Okay, so because he can't sell himself or he can't sell part of him. The day he makes a private limited company, company can be divided. It can be broken into parts. Okay, so the moment it's a privately limited company, it has a valuation of 6 to 7 crores. Okay, so we are not looking at that valuation of 6 or 7 crores, and by not doing that, by not making a private limited company, by not doing that structure. So that structure is very, very important. So when you have a private limited company, overnight you have unlocked valuation. So your wealth has grown up overnight just by having it in a private limited company. You have unlocked wealth. So it's very important. All your wealth is stuck inside. So the moment you make it a private limited company, you unlock it. And because then the market can buy you, no? If somebody can't buy you, then where is the valuation? Zero valuation. But the moment people can buy you, there's valuation. So you're unlocking wealth. So it's very important that what Sir said, that you should have a private limited structure. Otherwise, what will somebody buy? If somebody wants to buy, what is he going to buy? He wants to buy, let's say he wants to invest 20% in your company. Where is the 20%? Unless you have an entity. So very important. And chartered accountants, I think I would tell all of you all, don't go to chartered accountants for what he is supposed to do, not what he is not supposed to do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think we can take one last question and then complete the session. We are almost close to 10 o'clock now. If there are no questions, I think we can close it. And thanks to everybody for attending. I think it was very insightful. 2 hours went very fast, and I liked it. It was like a close interaction with friends rather than a very formal kind of a session. And we will continue having these sessions. And
Sorry.
yes, sir. Dr. Ashwini, do you have any question?
Yes, sir, if I may. If,
Yeah, please, we can take it and then close it.
yeah, I just want to ask, you just clarify what my thinking process is going, what is right or whether is wrong, or whether what is that? I don't know, but I listened to whole. Maybe I joined it around 8:20 when SAR started. Before maybe 10-15 minutes I missed it. So right now I have a small hospital. Just started 1.5 year back. Started very slowly. My friends gave me loan, and without any interest, they told me to pay whenever you are ready within next 2-3 years. Though within 1 year, I am debt free, and I have my own OT, own hospital in a very small space, maybe 2,000 square feet. So right now I am not those commission based thing. I have not started, and marketing also not much. Whatever is only word to mouth, word to word, patient comes and that. And my vision is to make a brand. I'm working on my brand, or what? After listening, then I realized, okay, that is known as working on brand. So I want to build the trust on the patient. That's why whoever patient comes, I give time or whatever, and people keep on coming once they trust you. Because once that trust I lose, they will not come, or they will go to. Because I always tell my patient, okay, why somebody will go to Sankar Nathralaya, why they go to Eli Prasad in Hyderabad? Because they are language issues, they don't have money, they travel and train. Still they go there because of the trust they have developed over the years. If I the same trust that I develop here, my locality people will never go to those South Sankar Nathralaya or Eli Prasad. That is my dream. So that my patient, when my locality, they go there, I want to create a same sort of hospital, maybe the biggest hospital. I have a dream कि मैं यहीं पे बनाऊंगा. अगर दिल्ली का बंदा, मेरे सीनियर्स और माय colleague who have done MD from AIMS Delhi, after completing they go to fellowship for Madurai or Chennai Sankara, why that can't come to my place if I provide the same thing? So my dream is that, so that my people will not go there. Second step, I have a dream to provide better quality and fellowship training. Somehow I feel that fellows, I might be wrong, I might be flawed, but that is one of my bigger dream to provide Ophthall fellows a better opportunity, but not better opportunity. I somehow feel that they are not paid well. To be honest, 20-30,000, what might be the reason? So I want to create a system so that they also learn and they also paid well, because after 10 years of hard struggle of MBBS, PG and everything, so maybe 20 years down the line, maybe at around 2050, there will be 20, 50, 100 fellows here who might be doing, or people will be urged to know, I will come here, I'll do fellowship and I will have an entrance exam to hire them. That is my bigger dream, apart from, because everything, as Sir said, is depending on the brand value. But I don't know whether I'm thinking straight or whether it is possible, because the other doctor also said that after 3 or 4 centers, it's like burden. But I have some view, okay, no, without attending that class, I have already thought, no, if I find doctor, I have already found 2 doctors. I'm telling you are ready, let's start another hospital in that area. You be a partner and we'll sort it out. So I'm already discussing that part. But my bigger dream is to make a brand here in this area, so that my people who travel from here with a hard work go there. SR said, ultimately, what is your end goal? My end goal is people will get the same amount of service that the people get at SN, because somewhere down the line, Arvind also started like this maybe 30 year before, or maybe Sankaratra has done, Ali Prasad has done 20, 30 or 40 year before. So that is the dream, but I don't know whether I'm right or if I'm very flawed, or that's why my view is, or sometime maybe if I'm daydreaming, or I don't know. So that's what my vision is. So if anything input from sir or Senthil sir, whether how should I proceed? No, you are wrong, or what should be the other? Because I'm eager to learn also. So if
So you clearly seem to be the kind of person who should build a brand. You have a dream. You are very you it is more purpose driven, not money driven. You want that people should not go far away. They should come to you. You have big brands examples, and you want to be like them. How old are you?
sir, I am 38, sir.
Okay, and where are you located?
Sir, Barampur, Odisha. Matlab, it's like
Okay,
200
okay,
kilometers
okay.
down Bhubaneswar.
Okay. So then I think that's great. You seem to be having a very good idea. And only thing is, as I said, it's a science to build a brand, to build systems, processes, people. You require capital. I think your focus should be less on. You should have doctors to look after patients, and you should start nurturing your dream. Okay, which requires many other things. So if you continue to practice and see 20 patients a day, you'll be very difficult for you to achieve this dream. So you will have to build a team and do that way. Sir, Dr. Senthil, you'll be able to throw more light now.
Sorry, sir, I got carried away. I didn't listen to the question.
No,
So,
his question basically is that he wants to build like the big hospital in the future. He wants people from Berhampur not to travel to Chennai and other centers for ophthalmology. He wants to, that's why he's very purpose driven. Very clearly, he wants to build, he has the big names who have made big hospitals in the ophthalmology in mind. That is he's 38 years old, very clearly young, and he has a desire to build a big brand, and he has dreams, and is very purpose driven, not necessarily revenue driven. So he's the kind of person who has a dream. So I said that if he wants to really do this, he should definitely have a team, because his dream is so big that he cannot see 25 patients a day and still achieve that. So he'll have to free his time to work on the dream.
yeah, I think basically it's very nice to have that vision, because many of the time, many of us don't have a long-term vision, and basically, like, you have to visualize yourself, like what is it you want to build. Maybe right now think that, okay, I will be within the next 10 years, I'll be having this kind of a large hospital with so many staff and everything. Because I used to, there are two examples. One is this yogi autobiography of the yogi Swami Yogananda. If you read his book, he will say that he used to visualize everything. Like, he will have this ashramam in US, when he and this ashramam will look like this. There will be a tree in the front, and the building will be like this and everything. So visualization definitely helps you in achieving what you want to do. Second thing is, basically, even there is another guy who's running this large factory making this incense and perfumes. So he used to say, even when he used to live in a rented house, when there was no when he was not even able to pay the monthly rent, but he used to visualize himself that one day he will be owning a big factory with and he used to tell his wife, like, don't worry, we will be having this driving at least 3 BMW cars, and there will be drivers waiting for you to pick you up and all these things. So basically, I think this positive visualization will definitely help. You have to imagine yourself that, okay, within the next 15 years, when I'm 50 or when I'm 48, I'll be having this large hospital, and then do the steps which are required to do that. And I think once you have the goal and then vision and then the visualization, then I think slowly you will proceed towards that goal. And Only thing is, in that goal, you should also not forget to lead your life, because what happens is sometimes, many times we are so driven by our goals that we fail to live the life of every day. So then at 50, 55 or 60, you think that, oh, I have made my vision come true, but I have not lived my life. So basically, you cannot be working. I think you will understand what I'm trying to come to say. Basically, it's like every day having this free time, or being with friends, or traveling, or doing the things which you like to do also has to be in a balance. So I see a lot of doctors who have visualized great things, done, achieved it, but then they fail to live life also. So basically it should be a balance of both. And then what we are now trying to do is, even Dr. Ashwini is a part of that project, where I'm trying to take 100 clinics which are doing less than a crore turnover in a year, and then trying to build them up to 1 crore by employing all those small strategies. So at least I think 45 doctors have joined together now. So basically we are trying to implement things like basic metrics, and then improving their optical outlets, things like using standard business principles like marketing and all these things, so that if we can build those 100 clinics to 100 crore. So it's called 100 crore by 100 clinics project. So hopefully, I think we can also try to be more active in that and employ. We may not be able to see immediate like to next month your revenue is not going to increase, but we constantly improve day by day. And I think that way, when all those processes are put together, getting to that 1 crore revenue in a year will not be very difficult. So basically, I'm trying to follow that process of small improvements, which will try to help those clinics. So that is also happening. And good to have that vision, but also you need to do that work to reach that vision. Yeah. So we'll be very happy if Dr. Ashwini can build that large organization when we talk to him after 10 years. So, and he should be a guide of a mentor to other doctors who are
So
junior.
I need to learn from teachers like you and Dharmendra sir and everybody else. And I'm planning to do a MBA course, because as of now my clinic are less. So a distance MBA course also one thing that I came across that you can do, because we take decision as a doctor, that I came to know in a conference. But to build a business or something, you need to have some sort of mind. Though somebody says, hey, no, business is common sense, still some people have extra degree or learning gives you some extra edge. So I don't know.
No, don't. So basically, once you have the vision, I think it will help. And MBA is more of a theoretical knowledge. I think more would be the practical. So better to actually acquire
Learn
more practical
like
knowledge.
better to learn from teachers like you and handhold under your guidance.
No, we are also like, I'll say, we are, what do I say? We are not somebody who has jumped from the moon or anything. We are also trying to learn along with all of you. But only thing is, because we have seen a lot of different practices, a lot of
Yes,
different things, we can give you some inputs which will help you kind of
yes.
reframe your thinking process and the mindset. So that's the whole idea.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So thank you, sir. And I think it's already 10:15. So thank you, everybody. And please do give your feedback about our session. If you can write in 1 or 2 words of appreciation, or even some improvements which we have to do, we'll be very happy about the session. And I think Mr. Dharmendra sir is also in our group. So please do connect to him, and let's take it forward. And thank you for being here, and have a nice weekend. And let's meet for the next session. This month I've planned 2 to 3 sessions. So we will have the next session in the coming after 1 or 2 weeks. And thank you, everybody, for being active.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank
Yeah,
you.
good night. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Hari, sir, you can complete the recording.
Okay.
Can I close the meeting?
Yes, sir. End.